Hello, youth. Welcome back to another session. Today, we're going to be facing an interesting topic and having an interesting discussion, just as the pictures might show you. We're going to talk about our God in the storm. So, the topic today is God in the storm, and a little byline or a little explanation that I give each and every time. This time, it's Jesus was always in the boat. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard something like this before. I'm sure you've had, I'm sure you have, whether in church or in your Sunday school or in another youth group. And again, a lot of the things that I like to teach you guys are things that you already know, but you just needed a little reminder of it. So today we're going to talk about an exciting topic. I'm already excited. Just my feet are shaking, my legs are already shaking, just getting ready to talk about this. But we're going to talk about the power of our God in the storm. And even if you find yourself going through a storm, or you feel like you can just see from the corner of your eye a storm is coming, or whether actually you've just come through a storm and you're thinking, wow, God, you actually brought me through that, and I cannot believe what I just went through. Or maybe a lot of us are in a storm right now, whether you're before, during, or after a storm. I think this is a great lesson that we're going to learn today. So I'm going to talk about the one consistent being in the middle of your storm: God, Jesus Christ. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever to come. He is consistent, whether we're walking into the storm or whether he's taking us out of the storm. So let's go through this, because no matter what storm you find yourself in today, Jesus is always in that boat with you. So just as the picture shows, whether you're before the storm, during the storm, or coming out of the storm, Jesus is in your boat. As always, I'm going to give you 3 incidents from the Bible, 3 stories, because I love a pack of 3. And these are all characters that you know. These are all characters that everybody's familiar with. So let's talk about them. My first person is Noah. Noah and the flood. What was the storm in Noah's situation? It was the flood. So we all know the story. God asked Noah to build an ark to protect himself and his family when this great flood was coming to wipe out mankind. You can read this in the book of Genesis. So that's the first book of the Bible, an easy place to begin. But this was pretty much after the creation of the world. Many, many, many years have passed, and mankind has become so evil that God said, this breaks my heart, but I'm going to wipe them all out. I'm going to start fresh. We're going to start clean. And so he's going to send a flood. But he found someone who was righteous among all of these people. And he said, that's Noah. So he told Noah, I'm going to need you to prepare for this, okay? Because the storm is coming. But I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself for the danger that is to come. He said, build an ark. He gave Noah the exact measurements, you guys, the exact formation, the shape, the structure. And he didn't just say, and now go find the resources by yourself. He sent all of these things to Noah. He sent the exact instructions, the directions, and he said, this is how you're going to do it. This is the protection. And even the animals who entered that ark, they came by the power and the direction of God. Noah didn't have to go to each animal, pull them, struggle with them, force them. No, God sends that preparation when there is a storm coming. So now we're going to talk about what happened during the storm. You can go read Genesis 7 verse 4. I like a lot of numbers in today's lesson. You're going to see the numbers that are going to come. But let's look at our first ones. Genesis 7 verse 4. It rained 40 days and 40 nights continuously. If you guys can look out at your window right now, I don't know about which area you're in, but this is England. So I'm going to take a guess and say it's raining, definitely wherever you are. But it's raining outside my window right now, and I can see the sky. It's really cloudy. It's looking gloomy. It's looking dim. It's not looking like the type of day where I want to step outside and go have fun. No way. My radiators are on to the max. I want to be warm today. I want to stay inside my house and protect myself from this rain. Look at that first picture. If you were there, I'm not saying that's England's rain right now, but we have all faced that type of rain in England before. Look at that situation. Would you not want to be inside the ark? I absolutely would. You guys, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights continuously. And Noah and his family were in that ark for 150 days. I have not counted these by myself. I'm not a fan of math, but these are the numbers. They were inside that ark for 150 days. It rained outside for 40 days and 40 nights, and my rain is increasing just as I'm saying this. They landed on Mount Ararat, which is the dry ground that they landed on, and they were on that dry ground for 40 days and 40 nights again. This is a lot of numbers. But at the end of all of it, God gave a rainbow to symbolize his promise that he would never again destroy mankind with a flood of that extreme ever again. That's Genesis 9 verse 17. You can read this in your own time. So what is my point, you guys? Why am I talking so much about rain? And why am I giving you so many numbers about days and nights and days and nights, and it rained for this long and that long? And what is the point, Andy? The point is that this is not a storm that came, rained for 5 minutes, and left, and everything was sorted. I think, especially as young people, as youth and children, we seem to think that our storms, our versions of storms, are storms that come for 5 minutes. They really shake us, but they only shake us for 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, they're gone. We never have to think about it ever again. My stress is just gone in 5 minutes. As you grow older, you might get to know that storms, even if they don't last for 5 minutes, you guys, they can last for 5 days. They can last for 5 months. They can last for 5 years. Storms can be crazy. They can be of a magnitude so great. They can shake you whether they last for a short time or for a long time. If you're in a storm right now and you've been in that storm for 40 days, 40 nights, or 150 days and it's still raining, I'm telling you today, do not give up, because there is God in the storm. The difference in this situation with Noah, what was the difference? Even if the storm was raging on the outside, the difference was that Jesus was there in the boat. Jesus was always in the boat. Jesus is always in that boat with you. You think when you go through a storm of any kind, no matter how strong it is, do you think you really are alone? Whether there is someone physically there next to you or not, Jesus Christ is with you in that boat. Jesus will always be in that boat with you during the storm. Now, it does not matter if your storm is raging for a long time. It does not matter if that storm is hitting you from every side and you fear that your shelter, that ark that you have built around you, you might be scared that it will crumble. Because look at Noah and that ark over there. That's wood at the end of the day. That's wood against water. And I've heard that wood floats in water or something like that. I'm bad at science and maths, so I don't really know where I'm going with that, but it does not matter. If the strength of the storm around you looks like it could destroy you, the strength of the storm around you is never stronger than the God who lives within you, Jesus Christ who is within you, and Jesus Christ who is with you in that boat. I'm not talking about you having a literal boat. I'm not talking about any of you or myself literally being out there on water or on the sea or in the ocean, paddling a boat for our lives. No. And I'm not talking about a Titanic situation where it looks like something is going to sink us and destroy us and lead to death. No. You might feel like that. That is the visual I'm giving you. You are paddling and you are rowing and you are trying to swim for your life. Have you ever heard in Finding Dory, Finding Nemo, this, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Sometimes all you can do is just keep swimming and you're crying to God and you're saying, God, the storm is just so bad, God. I can't even see the end of the storm. Why would you put me through the storm? It's not about the storm. It's about your God. So what if that is the storm around you? Look at this God who stands with you. Jesus Christ is always in your boat and he is in the storm with you. He stands with you in the midst of it and he will absolutely lead you through the storm. So whatever storm you're going through today, whether you've been in it for 150 days and it still looks like it's raining, that rainbow is coming for you. You will absolutely see that rainbow, whichever one that you're hoping for. God is going to send your rainbow because he is there with you in the middle of that storm. And that was Noah. I'm going to take you a little bit more forward now in the Old Testament, another character. We all know this guy. He's an iconic guy because he's quite stubborn. Is Moses. We're going to talk about Moses and the Red Sea. So what is the storm in this situation? that Red Sea. What is our context? Moses had led the Israelites into the desert, the wilderness, after they left Egypt. They left Egypt, you guys, not quietly, not peacefully like we wanted to. Sometimes you enter a storm after the most calamity has happened, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I've just come from one drama and I've entered another drama, and that drama is the storm. You guys, they had been slaves in Egypt for 430 years. We have just come from Noah being inside an ark for 150 days and it was raining, and we're thinking, no, God, that is the max. Surely you would not, surely there is no other number that could scare me. You guys, they were in bondage for 430 years. I can't even get past something for 430 seconds. I don't know how these people did it, but they did. And you can go read their story in Exodus. They move on to Numbers, and there's Deuteronomy, and there's so many other books. But the story of the Israelites is iconic. Everybody knows this. God delivered them from slavery into their promised land. But what do we sometimes skip when we're talking between leaving your place of slavery, your place of bondage, and entering your promised land? There is reformation that's happening. There's refining that's happening. There is a storm you go through before you enter your promised land. And it says, Exodus 14 verse 21, as they fled, God instructed Moses to part the Red Sea, and the people crossed over on dry land. This is a picture. This is an image that you can see. Everybody knows this image. That dry land, do you think it came from nowhere? This is the power of God, you guys. God did this. Imagine parting a Red Sea. Have you tried blowing I think dandelions or flowers or dust or something like that? You see when you make a straight line with the breath that you make. This is God. Only God could have done this, you guys. God makes a way where there is no way. The storm that you face, God makes a way where there is no way. And that is in Isaiah 43 verse 15 to 16. Our God makes a way where there is no way. In the most impossible of situations, he still does it for you. He will still bring you through the storm, no matter how bad it looks. And we're talking about the Israelites over here. They went from one storm to the other. So at least in Noah's story, there was only one storm that we're talking about, and that was the flood. What do you do when it's one storm after the other, one drama after the other for you? Yes, you parted the Red Sea and you walked through on dry ground and you made it to the other place, and the Egyptians were drowned over there. You just walked into another storm. You guys, they were supposed to reach the promised land of Canaan in 11 days. They were in that desert wilderness for 40 years. Look at the difference between 11 days and 40 years. For a lot of us, all of us actually, we have not lived 40 years. We have got through 11 days, plenty of times. In fact, 11 days is an exam season for us. And a little longer, of course. We know what 11 days is like, but do we understand what 40 years is? They were in that wilderness. They were in their storm for 40 years. And in that time, you think they just slept? No. They fought enemies. They faced plagues. They experienced hunger and thirst. And they were always fearing their future. They were always doing one thing after the other where God was like, are you serious, you guys? How many times do I have to prove to you that I am God, and I am God who got you through the storm? And when one storm came, they cried out and said, are you really God? And he was like, are we seriously going to do this again? I proved to you in that storm, and now I'm yet again going to prove to you in this storm. And that's something that I think all of us need to hear. Do we forget that God is the one who gets us through each and every storm, each and every time? So what if it's one storm after the other? Our God is the same yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever. He will get you through each and every storm because that is just what he does. Finally, if you read Numbers 13 to 14, God always comes through for these people. And definitely, that promised land, that original promise that he made, that he would not just take them out of Egypt so that they could die in the desert. And that is something they questioned a lot. They constantly asked Moses and Aaron, their leaders, they said, did you just bring us out here to die? Did you just bring us into the storm because this is the end of us, that we can't go forth after this? God did not bring you through that storm so you could be nobody, so that you could go through nothing. No. You are meant to be somebody and you are meant to be great. And especially as young people, I think we go through storms and we think, God, is this where you're going to finish us? Did you just bring us here to die? We all go through so many situations where we're thinking, I cannot even see the end goal in sight, God, because that's how much trouble I'm in. I don't know where to turn. I can't turn left. I can't turn right. The storm is too much for me, God. Your God is with you. Jesus is in your boat with you. When you're going through that storm, he is with you. He always comes through for you. And look at the Israelites. God came through for them. He brought them to Canaan. He brought them to that promised land. And suddenly, you guys, when you come into that promised land, you forget all about your storms. You don't care if you were once hungry. You don't care if you were once thirsty. You don't care if you face disease, sickness, death. You don't care about any enemy that came against you, because the reward of reaching the promised land is peace and joy and happiness. And you're thinking, I never want to go through another storm in my life ever again. I can't guarantee you that you will never face a single storm again in your life. I find that in my own life. You think that one storm finished, but sometimes you feel like you walked into yet another storm and you're thinking, God, what is the pattern of my life? What is going on? Each and every storm is meant to refine you and to perfect you in a way that only God can perfect you. And sometimes you face a storm because you need to learn that the one you rely on is God. And the one who stands with you in that middle of the storm, the one who is with you in the boat is Jesus Christ, because he is the only one who can save you. So he is your difference. It does not matter if you walked unprepared into the storm, like many of us do. It does not matter if escaping the storm looks impossible. Look at the Israelites in this situation where God had to make a way in an impossible situation. Look at what was happening, you guys. God led them. God led them out of Egypt. He was a pillar of I think he was a cloud by day and he was a pillar of fire by night. He led them each and every time, right? He never left them, not for a second. As he was leading them, do you think each and every one of them had a phone that said the GPS was on, that the Google Maps was on, the Waze was on? No, none of them had any direction other than to rely on God. And so when the Red Sea came, they were not like, oh yeah, we knew it was coming, so we built boats on the way, or we had floats on the way, we had paddles on the way. They were unprepared when they walked into that storm, but they had to rely on the fact that God would deliver them, and deliver them he did. That is the point I'm trying to make over here, that you can be walking towards a Red Sea, you can be walking towards a storm and thinking, God, there is no logical explanation for, first of all, why I'm here, and now how am I supposed to get through this? Am I supposed to swim, God? Are you serious? Should I drown? God is saying, trust me. I am with you. Whether you go before the storm, during the storm, or after the storm, I am your God. I walk with you. Isaiah 43 verse 15 to 16. God makes a way where there is no way. Jesus is in your boat. He is in that storm with you. He stands with you in the midst of it, and he will absolutely lead you through it. And that brings me to my last story, my last Bible character. This one is a New Testament Bible character, but I love talking about him each and every time. It's the Apostle Paul, aka Saul, who became Paul. We all know him. He's quite the controversial character, but he's iconic. This guy did a lot for Jesus. This guy, for someone who used to be a doubter, he really turned into a fighter. He was a soldier for Christ. We're going to talk about him and his shipwreck. So what is the storm here? A literal storm. What is the storm here? An actual situation where there is a storm. And you might be thinking, oh, Andy, finally. So you want to talk to us about a flood? That was definitely a storm. You want us to talk about parting the Red Sea and the wilderness, which was kind of a storm, but not really. But it's a storm in this situation. I'm going to take you into a literal storm this time. We're going to go into the storm with Paul. So what is our context? Paul was a prisoner in chains for the gospel, and that is something he declared boldly in his life. Because of the ministry work that he was doing, he went from when he converted, when he had the miracle moment where Jesus met him, he had been through a lot just to change into the man that we knew him to be now. He went from being a persecutor of Christians to someone who boldly declared the gospel. That change was one thing, but what was happening in the society around him, they started looking at him and saying, actually, this guy is trouble. Instead of appreciating him, as many of us, we do this sometimes with the people in our lives. Instead of appreciating them, we start pointing fingers at them. So because of the ministry work that he was doing, he was actually in chains now. He was being accused of crimes. So he was going to go face judgment. And so now he was on a ship journey. So you can go read this in Acts chapter 27. This was a ship journey, and he was with other prisoners on the boat. There were soldiers, there were people looking after them, there were people making sure these guys didn't just swim away and run away. The ship faced a severe storm, you guys, for 3 days, and it was wrecked. You can see the picture of it. There's like holes punched in the sails and everything. I know you're looking at the numbers and thinking, oh, but Andy, this storm is not so bad. What do you mean this storm was the worst of it? Noah was in the ark for 150 days. The Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years. What is 3 days of a storm? Surely these Bible characters are stronger than that. Are you serious? Their genetics have to be better than this. Like I said, whether your storm lasts 5 minutes or 5 years, we're going to talk about Jesus Christ, who is the difference, that Jesus Christ is in that boat with you. So they're going through the shipwreck for 3 days. They cannot see, they cannot see light. They cannot see the calm after the storm. They cannot even see the calm before the storm, let alone after the storm. They're in a severe storm for 3 days. This ship is destroyed. Like we were talking about in Noah, the storm looks so bad that your shelter, your ship, your boat looks like it's going to crumble. In this case, the ship actually crumbled, you guys. What do you do when your shelter is actually being destroyed by the storm around you? The passengers were panicking. They were getting ready to jump, and in fact, the officers on board were saying, if we don't jump, we're going to die. So they're thinking, what should I do? Is either jump and die, or don't jump and die. The only thing that looks in front of you is death, because that's how bad the storm is. And yet, here is Paul, a prisoner in chains for the gospel, and look what he says. Does he say, yeah, good luck you guys, because the storm definitely looks like it's going to drown us, just by logical understanding of storms. So let's all just get ready to die. Acts 27, 22 to 25. You can go read the story later. Paul said God intended them all to live. He said, so what if this is the storm? This is our God. So what if that is the wreckage? So what if the ship is gone? So what if we're all so devastated and lost everything after 3 days of the storm? He didn't say we're all going to live when it looked like, oh, finally the sun was shining, even though it looks like that in the picture. He didn't say just when the storm started, oh, don't worry about it though, because God gave me a secret that we're all going to live. This was the middle of the storm. During the storm, that is faith, that is strength, that is courage in our God. During the storm, the worst of it, he said, God intends us to live, and we're going to see through the end of the storm. Of course, the people around him looked like, you are crazy. You are actually insane. This storm is so bad. No way we're going to survive this. They looked at him like he was crazy, but they lived anyway. They landed on the island of Malta, and Paul lived to tell the story. He lived to write this thing down and say, we survived the shipwreck that was meant to destroy us. We survived the storm that was meant to kill us. We survived the storm because Jesus was in the boat with us. So what am I trying to say to you guys? It does not matter if you think you don't even deserve to be in this storm. You might be looking at the storm in your life, whatever it is, and thinking, God, this is really unfair. I don't even deserve to be in this situation. Why would the storm come for me? I'm such a good person. I don't do anything. Why do I deserve the storm? It does not matter if others are living in peace. and only your life is falling to pieces. It does not matter if it looks like other people are having the time of their lives, the best time, they're doing everything that you want to be doing, they're getting the best results, they're having the happiest of days, and they're especially posting it on social media so you can see. I know for everyone who has social media, tell me if you do this, but do you ever look at certain posts or certain videos and think, why is this targeted at me? We know algorithms, okay? We know our social media is tailored exactly to our wants and needs. But do you ever look at your social media and think, this targeted me? This was coming from me. How did they know that I wanted to see this? It does not matter if it looks like other people are getting everything that you want and you are the only one facing one storm after the other. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 25. That's Paul. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 25 was Paul saying, I've been in chains. I've been beaten up. I've been thrown in jail. I've gone through this. I've faced abuse. I've done this. And still I refuse to give up. That was Paul's version of one storm after the other. He didn't have a life, just a cushy, comfortable life where it was peace. So he goes, preaches in a church one day and he can sleep for 100 years peacefully. After that, no. And I know that's what sometimes all of us are thinking as well. God, surely I faced one storm that was so bad, God. No way there'll be another storm, right? We cannot predict when these storms come. But there is one thing I will tell you without prediction and without the need to guess, that the difference is that Jesus Christ is always in that boat with you. He is always with you in the storm. He stands with you in the middle of it and he will absolutely lead you through it. So now we've been through all of these people. We've been through Noah and his storm. We have been through Moses, the Israelites, and their storm, and we have been through Paul and his literal storm. But what is the story that made the difference in all of this? You guys all know from Sunday school the story of Jesus with the disciples, and they faced that storm. They were in a literal storm, just like Paul was in that literal storm, and they were being shook from all sides. And the disciples cried out to Jesus and said, how are you sleeping right now? We are in a storm that looks like it's going to destroy us. But what did Jesus do? I think I watched a movie about this. I'm sure all of you watched the movie as well. All Jesus did was this. Looked at the storm and went. He just put a hand up. He said, be still. You guys, nature recognizes the voice of its creator. The wind and the waves and every aspect, every angle, every little particle of that storm recognized the voice of Jesus, recognized the command of his creator, and it became still. Do you know why the disciples survived that day? They survived to go and give this gospel and to spread the word of Jesus Christ around the world. Why? Jesus was in that boat with them. The difference is that no matter what type of storm you go through, whether it's an exam, whether it's a situation, whether it's something you can't even put into words because you can't even understand what's going on. You don't even understand why you're in that storm. You don't think you deserve to be in that storm. And you're thinking, why is my life one storm after the other? It's not about the storm. It's about the God who is with you while you're going through that storm. It's about Jesus Christ who is in your boat, protecting you, standing with you, giving you that hope and that encouragement that says, I know the storm looks bad, but you will see the rainbow at the end of it. I know the storm is troublesome. I know you're weak. I know you're losing that courage and that strength to go on. But the storm around you is never stronger than the God who is within you. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever. That same God is consistently standing with you in whatever storm that you go through. So I want to remind you of Isaiah 43, verse 15 to 16. That is our memory verse for this time. And I love the picture that goes, this picture. I love this picture because it is Jesus Christ literally reaching out to you when you think you're drowning in a storm. Oh, and this is kind of nice because the rain outside kind of stopped in this moment. So this is really good. But Isaiah 43 is 15 to 16. God will make a way where there is no way. He will bring you through any storm that you're in. Do not lose faith. Do not lose hope. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Keep your eyes focused on Jesus, and you will come through that storm. So whatever you're going through today, I would like you to remember this. I would like you to share this with someone. If whether you needed to hear this or you've heard this plenty of times, I'm glad that it's a reminder for you. I'm glad that you were here today to listen to this and be blessed. Sometimes when I'm speaking, these are things that I need to hear. I'm glad when God leads. And I love that God reminded us this time that whatever storm you're going through, He is consistent. He is with you. He loves you. He protects you all the way. So God bless you, each and every one of you. Go tell someone this today. Go tell them that God stands with them in the storm. So God bless you, and I hope you learned something today.